Hello there, folks. Finally a sunny winter day today after a whole week of total snowing. On the other hand, it's dreadfully cold instead. It can never be normal. Well, it is the beginning of a new year, so happy continuing of the new year, everybody. And a new year, you know what that means? It means a vinyl tag. And actually I've seen 3 vinyl tags that are interesting so far. So it will be raining vinyl tags here on the channel for a while now, I guess. But the original, quote, vinyl tag was made by Rob Walker. So, hi there, Rob. Hope the new year is doing good to you. And starting with that, it is 20 questions as usual that needs an answer. So, let's get to it before the video gets too long. Number 1 favorite record purchased in 2023, and that is easy. I showed it in my previous year in review video. Is this Depeche Mode Memento Mori? Really awesome and highly recommended album. Number 2 last record bought in 2023. Little spoiler for an eventual upcoming vinyl CD update. I actually bought something as unusual as a classical album. I don't buy it all that much, though I do like classic music, but I don't buy it all that much. But if it is an older recording, I buy it. And that is the case with this album from Naxos Historical Series, Toscanini Concert Edition. It is Lasse Heifetz and Artur Toscanini and NBC Symphony Orchestra playing Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto and Wagner's Parsifal, Prelude and Good Friday Spell. And the recordings are from 1944. So it says recorded in studio, but still it is obviously an audience there, so it's very interesting. But this is what I bought, the final album I bought for last year. 2 albums or more, and now artists that released 2 albums or more during the same year. There are a number of examples. I could have picked Bruce Springsteen, I could have picked Pet Shop Boys, but I actually picked David Bowie, that in 1977 released both Low and Heroes. So 2 albums released the same year from one and the same artist. We have 4. If I can only listen to music from one decade, that would be an impossible thing for many of us, I guess. I'm having a huge demand of variety when it comes to music. That's, I guess, why I am having so many different kind of interests in different kind of genres. But if someone put a gun at my head and said, choose one decade now, then I would most likely say the 80s, because that is what I'm grown up with. So, as an example, 80s would be Dear Mr. Mister, Welcome to the Real World, Howard Jones, Being Interaction. 80s would be, if I had to choose one decade that I can only listen to, it would be most likely the 80s. Band or artist from Manchester. Have some examples that are really good. I choose the Chemical Brothers that are from Manchester. Really great band that actually has a new album out. So Chemical Brothers, awesome band from Manchester. We have the artist I listened to most in 2023. That is actually a tough question because I tend nowadays most to listen to new records that I haven't been able to listen to yet for my blog and so on. It's not often. It depends on if I buy the same artist many times a year. Maybe that is the thing. But I don't tend to pick one artist out of the collection all that often. But an artist that I have gotten a whole lot with during this year, and I have listened to a lot, is this man, Lester Young. We have this nice VCLT from Shell, Quadromania, 4 CD set, box set, that I have gone through, one CD at once, one CD by one. And I also have this nice Lester Young story that I bought just before Christmas. 2 albums. So I think Lester Young is one of the artists I listened to the most this year. Then we have 7 inches. To show 7 inches. I actually did a kind of a whack-a-mole where I pick stuff without seeing what it is. I picked 7 singles randomly and without looking. And I can't show. I didn't film the actual when I picked the actual picking, but you have to trust me. I've not seen any of these 7 singles since making the picking, so I have no idea what 7 singles I have picked. So it's kind of fun thing to do. So 7 whack-a-mole singles from my collection. So starting with, see what it comes. Bum, 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 bum. Steve Arrington, Dancing in the Key of Life. Steve Arrington, soul singer that had a couple of good hits. Unfortunately, it didn't hold for entire album. But Dancing in the Key of Life is a great 80s soul classic. We have number 2, which is Chicago's Look Away, a real classic Diane Warren song. Maybe one of the best songs Diane Warren did, actually. It is Chicago at its most power ballad style, but it is a really awesome one. Number 3, Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. Actually one of the few David Lynn produced stuff that during the late 80s that sounded actually pretty good for once. Often Jeff Lynne's production during the late 80s sounded very stale in my opinion. But his work with Tom Petty worked really good. And we have this is a Swedish one, Roger Rönning, Finnas till, To Exist, och Brinner av lust, Burning of Lust. So Swedish singer-songwriter. This is from 1985. So Swedish singer-songwriter-ish style in Swedish. We have more Swedish. Anders Glenmark, who is also a Swedish singer-songwriter, pop singer. This is an a single called Vill du resa I vår så reser jag med dig. If you want to travel in this spring, I travel with you. Nice little pop song from 1989. We take dun, 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 dun. Back to life, back to reality, soul to soul, back to life, however do you want me. Summer classic from 1989. And we have Johnny Hayes Jazz, Turn Back the Clock, a little sweet pop classic from 1987, and a great album with the same name. So, those were 7 singles, picked randomly in a whack-a-mole style. We have 4 artists that is supposed to come to an imaginary party of mine. This is pretty similar to a question that I've done a couple of times on Robert C's various contests. So it's hard to come up with new names, but some of them are the same. But the question is pretty much the same. So I picked, first of all, I picked Quincy Jones because he is such a master, and he has very interesting jazz nostalgia to talk about, and he has very much interesting to talk with him about the transition between big band jazz to funk soul music and so on. So and a very fascinating person that I would really like to talk a lot with. This is I Heard That, a real awesome album, 70s funk soul album. I also picked a couple of Swedish ones. This is Swedish singer Monica Zetterlund, one of my absolute favorite Swedish singers, one of my absolute favorite jazz singers overall. An album she did with Tad Jones and the Lewis Orchestra, and she did a lot of stuff with foreign musicians and band leaders. She recorded with Stan Getz and a lot of those guys. Monica Zetterlund lived a very interesting and in some forms tragic life also, but she managed to crisscross between jazz and singer-songwriter style, almost sometimes even pop style, ballads. She she did comedy stuff on stage also. She was a woman that had so many different hats on her. So it was very nice to talk to her about Swedish music history or jazz history. I also picked one of you, but not jazz connection, Marie Fredriksson from Roxette. Also a fascinating person that despite all her fame and glory managed to keep her feet on the ground, and it will be interesting to talk to her about a lot of music history and her opinions about music and so on. One of my favorite Swedish rock singers. And I also picked Clifford Brown. Because Clifford Brown was one of the jazz music's few straight edge guys. He didn't drink, he didn't take any drugs, and in an era, the bebop era, where so many took drugs here and there. So it would be interesting to talk to him about, of course, jazz memories, but also how he managed to stay so straight edge in the middle of all this floating drugs problems that were in the jazz business back then. Number 9, artists that died in 2023. There were some of those, of course. I picked a Swedish one. I picked jazz saxophone player Bernt Rosengren that died during this year. Here is where it plays a jazz version of Porgy and Bess. Bernd Rosengren was a musician that played all the way back to the 50s. This is kind of a picture of him. And in the 50s he had a really great jazz group called Jazz Club 57 that recorded only, from what I understand, one EP that I want to get a hold of sometime. But he also did some really great Swedish jazz, and this is one of them. This is a really great jazz version for JorgenS. So rest in peace, Bernd Rosengren. You were a great Swedish jazz musician, and really great asset to the Swedish jazz music scene. Number 10. Music from one country. If I can only listen to music from one country, I would go again, the same as from one decade. I need variety. But I think that since I have always been fascinated and loved the British music scene, I picked some examples. I would say UK. How about the 70s? The UK had David Bowie. How about the 80s when the UK had the whole New Wave era during the early 80s, and also Pet Shop Boys? How about the 90s with Britpop, British pop music, British dance scene, house scene, and Saint Etienne? So British music scene has always been, I've been fascinated about, at least in the previous decade. So I would say British music. Also the great jazz scene. 3 vinyl communities that I discovered in 2023. Here I would have to put out a really little shame pillow and say that I can't pick any, because I have been very slow with watching other channels and new channels. I've been watching a lot of those that I already subscribed to, or the friends that I already have subscribed to, but I've been very slow watching new channels. So I can't pick 3, and since YouTube doesn't even have any kind of order where you can sort which I subscribe to newly and which I subscribe to 2022 or stuff like that, and I can show any of that, it was extremely hard to pick 3, so I have to skip that one, unfortunately. But I will promise from me that 2024 I will watch a whole lot more vinyl community channels and try to discover more new channels. So number 12, record bought as a teenager, and I picked this one. Maybe not the most usual for a teenager, but I liked jazz already as a teenager, so I picked this Art Tatum album. Released on Masters of Jazz on a record label called Storywheel. This was one of the first jazz albums I bought, and I think I bought it in 1990. Me and a friend of mine, a friend who taught me to like jazz, we walked into a record store and they had this album. I think it was selling them out for, I don't remember if it was $3 or $4. I remember we bought one each at the same time. So Art Tatum, a phenomenal pianist, one of the best ever. Funk and soul record. That was easy, of course, since it's one of the things I collect most these days. But it was hard to choose which. So I picked MFSB, the house band for the Philly record. They did 4 I think 4 or 5 albums themselves. This is Love is the Message, the album that contains the theme song from the Soul Train theme, the Soul Train show. So MFSB, Mother, Father, Sister, Brother. Amazing, smooth 70s stuff. A record I think that everyone has, and a record that I think no one has. A record that I think everyone has, a little hard, because hard to know what people have or haven't. But I remember when I bought this record, people in the vinyl community say, well, everyone has that. You see it everywhere. So I guess then everyone still had it. The Carpenters compilation, the single 69 to 73. I guess this is an album that everybody has. Still a great one though. And an album that I think no one have, well, maybe few have, but because this is an album that was made by a person that I know. This is an album by Sten and Veronica. And Har du en vän? Do you have a friend? And I didn't buy this because it is an awesome album. It is filled with a whole lot of covers, something maybe a little low budget style and so on. But Sten, last name Lindén, was the guy who once taught me how to broadcast radio. When I started broadcasting community radio. He's blind. I think both of them are blind. So this is a record that he made because he's also a pianist. Not only is he a blind radio technician, he's fantastic with his handicap also. So I think this is an album that was only released in not all that many issues. So I think that this is an album that very few have. Female artist bought in 2023. Easy peasy. Chaka Khan, Echoes of an Era. Chaka Khan with all of these great jazz names. Chaka Khan, one of my absolute favorite female artists. Favorite video that I posted and favorite watched VC video. The favorite video that I posted, I think it is the Beatles review because it was so different from what I normally have done. I filmed it when it was dark. I filmed it on my birthday and went for the bus, standing under a light and just filming, giving my take on the Beatles Now and Then song. Filming a little around, seeing how dark it was. It was so different, and that's why I really liked it, and it was short and sweet, and it was very, very different. Favorite watched VC video? I think it is a rant from MeanMrMayo, where he talked about why fans underrate their modern, their favorite artists' modern albums. Because what he said was so true about that we tend to like our favorite artists' most usual albums, but then when it comes to the modern era, we all of a sudden despise them because they were better in the past. I think it was so true, so I think that one was a favorite of mine. Album they describe as a 90s classic. Suede, coming up. One of the songs that I just loved in the late 90s when I started discovering Britpop. So for me this was almost like a Bible for Britpop. This is a 90s extreme classic. If I could walk into a cover, album cover, and be a part of it, that was very, very hard, because most of my covers are pretty boring, with faces that just looks and so on. But I picked this one, Jean-Michel Equinox. It would be very nice to be part of it and be the only guy that doesn't have a binocular. Imagine how I would stood out on that record. We have records so familiar that it feels like a greatest hits. And for the 10th million time, and I can show it 10 million times again, Alphaville's Forever Young. I listened to it so many times since 1984 that I know them in my sleep, and it feels like almost like a greatest hit. And finally, a 1974 album, an album from my birth year. Well, I picked this, Blood, Sweat and Tears Mirror Image. This was an album when I showed it the first time in Vinyl Community. I just bought it at the record fair, and they were saying, some were saying that this is a little different Blood, Sweat and Tears from the rest. I don't think it differs that much. I think it's a great, great album. I like Blood, Sweat and Tears, as you may know, and if David Clayton Thomas isn't on it, it still works, it's still funky. Even though David Clayton Thomas, of course, is an important person for the history of this band. So this is a great, great album from 1974. So, that was my vinyl tag. And then it will be coming an alternative vinyl tag that Stanti had put up. So you will see and hear a whole lot more vinyl tags. But until then, I hope that you have a really nice time, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. So take care. See ya.